If you walked into a bookstore in the 1960s looking for a book about parenting, this is what you would find. Dr. Spock's The Common Sense Book of Childcare and Parenting was pretty much the only source at the time. Today, if you were to walk into a bookstore or a library looking for a book on parenting, this is what you would find. Hundreds of thousands of opinions on how it is best to raise your child. Clearly, something has changed between now and then about how we look at parenting. In the past generation, we've gone from parents who said, hey, make sure you get home before dinner, to parents who drive their kids around to every after-school activity. This raises the question, what has caused this shift? Why has it occurred? So one of the big reasons why is because there's been an increase in the amount of time that parents spend with their children. As you can see in this graph, from 1965 to 2011, mothers have spent 4 more hours per week with their children, and fathers have nearly tripled the amount of time they spend with their children. And this has had many benefits. The Southwestern Development Educational Laboratory released a study that said that students who have more engaged parents become more engaged in their schoolwork, are more likely to develop important social and behavioral skills, and they're more likely to go on to higher education. So clearly, involved parenting has a lot of benefits, but there are also some negatives. I'd like to tell you a story about an article I read in the Philadelphia Inquirer by Roz Warren, who's a contributor, and she wrote about one of her colleagues who, she wrote her student's application essay to Columbia University, which, if you're anything like me, you're completely horrified that she would do that. But she felt it was justified, because she felt like he was meant to go there, and she knew that he just needed a little help to get there. And so many parents do actions like this, but often, instead of having positive effects, they have really negative ones. The number of students in high school and college that have depression or major anxiety disorders has dramatically increased in the past 50 years. Psychologist Dr. Peter Gray said this in one of his studies that released that 5 to 8 times as many college and high school students have depression or anxiety compared to their counterparts a generation ago. This is because parents are too controlling. They make all the decisions for their children, leaving their children to not understand who they are or what they're good at or what they want to do in life. They feel like they have no control over their lives, and so they become depressed, and many of them do harmful self-behaviors. In addition to mental health issues, a lot of students, when they go to college, have a decrease in resiliency because their parents are no longer there to help them along the way. In the past 5 years, the number of calls to counseling centers has doubled because students just don't know how to deal with their own problems because they've never had to before. So I'd like to return back to the story that I mentioned earlier with the Columbia student and acknowledge that that mom thought she was doing the right thing. All parents just want their kids to be happy, and that's a really noble thing to want. It's a great thing to strive for, but the end doesn't justify the means. What has happened to our society when we would rather teach our children to cheat than have them actually learn about their strengths and weaknesses and about who they are? So I advise that we take a step back, that we let our children develop on their own, that we let them make their own mistakes and their own decisions. And only then will we have a healthier and happier future. Thank you.